What's good, Ninja FX? What is good? I'm a little bit early today, but it's cool. It's all gravy. Just doing one thing on Fiverr real quick. There's a guy who makes pretty cool thumbnails, and I actually had a little bit of leftover cash from Fiverr, so just going to spend the rest of that. Figured I'd bless somebody today. You know what I mean? I'm good. How are you, Ninja? How was my trading week? It's kind of boring up until today, and the stocks were doing well today. I'll get into that in a little bit. I want to spend the rest of this balance on Fiverr that I have. I paid a guy for some stuff. He never did it, so Fiverr, instead of returning the money, they just had it as like a credit. So I found a guy who does really cool thumbnails, so I had him do one, and I liked his work, so I'm gonna order a few more. And they're really cool. I can't show you yet, but when they come out, they're really cool. I can't wait to show you. Cannot wait to show you. And that's you know, that's one thing too I'll talk about. Not that I wanted to get into it today, but I'll talk about it. Oh, I let this guy on red for 2 days. That's my bad. 100%. But I got back to him, so it's cool. What's good, Trillionaire? What's good, Naruto? But dude, honestly, I've had a shit ton. I've had more problems than solutions with Fiverr over a long period of time. I've had more disputes than, you know, stuff that I've paid for. There was an NFT project that I designed, that I had got designed. She did really well. I think she was from Italy, but she definitely undercharged for her work. Cause I paid her, it was like under $100. It was not a lot. And she provided the work, and I was blown away. I was like, you need to charge like twice as much, because I would have paid easily twice as much. But the problem with Fiverr, I think, is that a lot of the people on Fiverr that are doing any type of online service, I mean, that's pretty much what Fiverr's about, right? It's about like remote work, thumbnails, all that kind of bullshit. And so when people in the US need work done, I think a lot of that work goes to people from other countries. Okay. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like a lot of people undercharge for their work. So, you know, I feel bad. But yeah, this guy, he's not from the US. I forgot where he's from, but he knows Photoshop really well, and I don't mind paying entrepreneurs, young people, young entrepreneurs, business owners, whatever. I don't mind doing that. I'd rather support an individual than like a corporation or, you know, some shit like that. Which I say this all the time too, but I also talk about that in my next book as well. To support local businesses and authors and stuff like that, because I would rather help out a small family than to try and help a CEO buy their third vacation home. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of my thought process on that. But you know, so before we get into it, I do have a couple of announcements for you guys. I know it's kind of cut off a little bit, but it's cool. So these videos are releasing. The Successful Traders Trio has already released. That came out, I think, yesterday. The Adversity Discussion, that comes out tomorrow. Now that's just a discussion, so it's actually only words, so there's no visuals, but there's captions. So it's just kind of something that you listen to, maybe on your way to work, or maybe while you're back testing or something. There's not going to be any visuals, so just be aware of that. The next one, something that I've been trying to push out for a long time, is coming out on June 5th, problems within the MLM industry and how to fix them. So that'll be coming out on June 5th at 11 a.m. Eastern. And then June 7th is a video on goal setting or setting goals. All right. So that's going to be really beneficial, especially for the For Students playlist. So that'll be, I can't say prerequisite, but you know, that would be something that I would want people to go through that get started, you know, with trading and stuff like that, because a lot of generally people don't know how to read a book. That's why I made a video on how to read a book. Most people don't know how to take notes, so I made a video on taking notes. And goal setting, I feel, is overlooked, or at least some of the things that I go over, people can overlook. So made a video on that as well. So, you know, not that I want to keep saying this, but a lot of you know I had a very, very comprehensive channel the last 2 years, which is it's gone now. So I want to do that same thing again, but even more comprehensive, even more well put together. So it's going to take some work. It's going to take a lot of work on my end, but that's actually what you saw. What I had up here a minute ago was, I think that was a Google Drive, but that was a lot of my PowerPoints I still have, a lot of the presentations I still have. So all I have to do is essentially re-record them. And so, yeah, that's going to take time, but I don't care, because, you know, we're going to build something here that's going to last forever. You know what I mean? Like forever. I'm about to be 30 years old, and so I don't plan on being YouTube into my fucking 40s, okay? So we got a few years of this, but not forever. And I want something that is going to be able to sustain forever. So we got to set it up that way. How to read, how to take notes, how to set goals, how to follow up, how to do all kind of stuff that I have planned for you guys. So there is that. And I know Fridays usually are our least amount of viewers, but it is what it is. As I mentioned on my Instagram, I will not be doing any more Zoom calls or boot camps or workshops or anything of that nature. Okay. I was doing those things, you know, for free, out of kindness, whatever, you know, because that's just what I wanted to do. But now that I'm not in the same position that I was before, that, you know, I'm no longer doing that. So, you know, it's as simple as that. But you are allowed, I don't know if there's like any leaders in here, but you know, if you have like a boot camp or whatever, if you're launching students with whatever platform that you're on, the videos that I have for free on my YouTube, since they're free and open for the public, you are allowed to use them. If you want to embed my videos in your website, if you want to embed them into a PDF or some shit that you want to send somebody, you're more than welcome to do that. I don't care, because whatever I put out for free, you guys are allowed to keep, you're allowed to use it, you know, and that benefits you guys. And of course, it benefits me as well to get more people on the channel, more subscribers, things like that, more views, obviously. So I'm not against that, but I'm not going to take my personal time anymore to, you know, do what I used to do, Zoom calls and all stuff like that. I'm just not doing it anymore. So hopefully you can respect that. I did that shit for years. So, but yeah, no more. No more. There's also a site called Upwork. More VA than anything. What is VA? Price action last 2 days have been a blessing on indices. Definitely made up for the first half of the week. Oh no, I agree. Yesterday was absolute banger. Yesterday was a fucking bang. I don't even want to go over the risk reward from this shit down here. Now, I took it on a paper. If you guys saw the market review that was put out yesterday, you know that I had longed right in here on that fucking paper account, and that was our low of the week. And I mean, I have to warp the chart like a couple of times just to fit all that in one screen, which is cool. Virtual assistant, but they also have freelancers for digital art. I got you. I understand. The only problem with websites like Fiverr, or I've never been really on any other freelancing websites, but one of the problems is when a niche gets oversaturated, a lot of the times it doesn't, I think I spoke about this before, but a lot of the times it doesn't come down to quality. For some people feel like when they start a brand new business, they have to go super cheap, so they undercut everybody. And when they undercut each other, it eventually brings the prices, you know, really, really, really low. And that hurts, you know, the industry, in my opinion. So, and I know that's kind of weird for me to say because, you know, I'm doing memberships at $5 and $10 a month. But what people have to understand, and this is what a lot of people got wrong, because they lack communication skills and sometimes they're just straight up fucking retarded. But I launched my memberships and that was for community. That wasn't for like private training on a bunch of technical analysis and stuff like that. So I priced it to be able to build a community, not to like make a career from education. You know what I mean? So, but yeah. And again, you know, that video comes out next week on, oh, it kind of paused there for a minute. The video comes out next week on, you know, problems within the MLM industry. So that's one of it. Communication. A lot of people lack communication skills. That's a problem. You let me know, chat. I know there's only like 15, 16 of you, but you let me know, chat, if I've ever left you on red. You let me know. You let me fucking know. Appreciate that one. What about how to trade? Well, I'm going to teach you guys how to trade here on the live sessions, of course, but I'm also going to be putting out lessons and content plans for the members as well. So you're going to get both, but there's a I wouldn't say process, but there's a way that I want to roll all of this out in order. So you're not just going to learn how to trade though. You're going to learn about personal development. You're going to learn about leadership. You're going to learn about philosophy, and you're going to learn how to trade, because if you just want to learn how to trade, you're not going to fucking do well, because you're not going to have the psychological skills. You're not going to have the mental skills, and you're going to wonder why, you know, we can fucking do shit like enter down here, or, you know, call Wells Fargo low of the fucking year 2 weeks, 3 weeks before it happens. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be able to do that if you don't focus on other areas in your life, essentially. Okay. What up, Pete? Glad I found you on YouTube, bro. I was going through your favorite section from Channel 96 and was sick when I went away. Glad you're still educating. Yeah, I'm not going to stop educating just yet. I'm not going to educate forever, but I'm not going to take a break right now. You know? And there's something on the tip of my tongue I want to say, but I'm not going to say it just yet. I might get around to it one day, but it's not today. What I will say is ownership. You know, ownership is a big thing for me now. You hear people like Nipsey Hussle, right? Rest in peace. And I forgot which song it was in his most recent album, or at least one of his more favorite albums. He talked about he owns the rights to all his masters, like the master tracks, and I'm sure businesses and stuff like that. So I believe he was independent, and a lot of artists now are becoming independent because they don't want to be owned by a record label because they fucking rape you when it comes to, you know, owning your shit. So on YouTube, I own this, and that's what I want. Okay, I can't have somebody else own my fucking work. You know, I mean, it's cool for a while, but in the long run, shit can be gone in 60 seconds, like Nicolas Cage, just fucking gone in the blink of an eye. So if it was just me, I wouldn't be too worried about it. But the fact that students get that taken away from them, that's what I have a problem with. You know, so that's why we're on YouTube. That's why I started my YouTube back in January, because I was like, we can't have this shit happen again. We cannot have this shit happen again. But anyway, so we just started the afternoon session here about 14 minutes ago, and we've been rallying all day, and I love it. I love it. Even though I didn't catch the indices, we are still rocking with good old Wells Fargo, 3.4% on the day. We were shaking it a couple weeks ago. Back in early May, I was sweating a little bit. I was going, fuck, man. Hopefully we don't go back to this low. You know what I'm saying? And we hit that reversal button. We're back above 40. We're back actually above 41. So I like it. I like it. Let's see if we can get past our most recent high at 42 and hopefully jam up into these gaps at 43, 44, and maybe eventually 46. So that will be nice. So we're in on that. And then good old JP Morgan. It was kind of struggling as well for a little while. We didn't do a lot, and that really kills your options, like your long-term options. That consolidating markets fuck your options up. But then when we get volatility like this, and especially if we continue, then it definitely helps. So options definitely is about timing. If you've never traded options before, because time decay will kick in, it will fuck you up. But it's all right. It's all good. All right, so we're still long, or I'm long JP Morgan. I have shares, but I have an options contract as well. So still looking for 145 on that. And let's see if we can do that. Now, if we do get there, if we do get to 145, I'll do an in-depth lesson strictly on Wells Fargo and how we were able to do that, because we were actually looking for longs at the 128, 129 area back in April. All right. Same thing with Wells Fargo. Well, Wells Fargo was actually earlier, but I'll do a lesson on both of those, and that way you guys can kind of see, you know, how we're able to do that. How everybody and their fucking mom is bearish on banks, but I stood alone and said, no, we're longing that. You know, contrarian as fuck. Did you have to do that too? Build your own legacy. Yeah, appreciate that, Pete. Appreciate that. When the question, Pete, that I have for you though is, when are you going to become a member? Because I see that gray name. Jacob, same thing. What's going on there? What's going on there? We got to get some snipers next to your name. We got to do it. We got to do it. Oh yeah, we forgot our sound check. Guys, drop a like if if you can hear me. Sound check fucking 20 minutes in. Sound check 20 minutes in. If you saw the market review yesterday, I'll give you a quick update on the British pound. I forgot which person it had asked that had asked about this the other day, that 127 or the 124.70 level, excuse me. We talked about how that could be an upside objective. Well, you asked about it, but I looked at it and said, yeah, it's probably an easy upside target. And we flew well over 100 pips on the upside. I think that was back in here, if I'm not mistaken, because we did talk about how the euro was in here. And so that would be here equivalent for British pound. So it did trade lower heading into Wednesday and then reversed and then hit the moon button. Now today obviously is lower, but profit objectives, I look to exit longs as the market's going up, not as it's going down. So if you got out at that level or even the 124.80 level, I mean, I wouldn't be bitching about it, like how, oh well, I didn't get out up here. It's like, all right, well, a winning trade's gonna be a winning trade, bro. You can't be bitching that you didn't get the absolute high of the week. You just gotta be thankful for what you got and move on. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? 2020 says best $10, man. Yeah, and it shouldn't be 10. So we might have a tier 3 soon. I don't know. There's still some things I'm gonna figure out. Currency taking a while to set up. Well, the play of the week has already happened. Earlier this week, there was a nice move, and then yesterday's move on British pound was pretty stellar. So we looked for upside. I told you British pound was stronger than euro anyway. So that also continued. Euro GBP continued to slump. So we talked about that. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, so one thing that I missed as well, I think it was, I don't know if you guys follow Gene on Twitter. He was a previous student of mine a long time ago, and he had actually posted something here. So this was what I missed yesterday, because I don't always look at intermarket analysis, and that definitely bit me in the ass, because having that bearish dollar is also what contributed to the bullish indices. So you saw that basically a mitigation model here, where you have your mitigation and then you have imbalance here. So there's definitely some overlap there during London for the dollar index, and it ran for these lows. And so with that lower dollar, you had bullish indices. All right. And I think we're still climbing intraday. That's blessed, man. That is super blessed. We got to keep pumping. We got to keep pumping it. Trying to go for play of the month for upside. I got you. Jacob said fiber and cable had some amazing divergence this week. Yeah, absolutely. Why do you think that's one of my favorite tools? Bro, that's probably the lesson that, like, if I had to say which lesson I think from me that most traders find beneficial or most powerful, is relative strength, period. But I mean, that's just a personal opinion. I mean, I see what people do. I put a lot of people onto that, like a fuck ton of people onto that, and that's why I keep going over it over and over and over again. Because a lot of students actually didn't like it at first. They were like, "Man, this shit is confusing. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I'm frustrated." I was like, "Dude, I was fucking frustrated too. You think I learned a shit overnight? No." But I explained it the best way that I could and used repetition. And then obviously, calling trades and stuff like that sure helps. But it wasn't easy for me at first. But once you get it, man, it's awesome. Oh, speaking of memberships, I don't know why I didn't say this earlier. It's probably because it's Friday. Friday's my shut your brain off Friday. The member goals, guys, we have 59 members now, and that was as of 2 days ago. So that doesn't count, I think, like the most recent 2 or 3. So officially, we are over 60 members here on the channel. So that's blessed. Our next target is 75. Our next target is 75. So we are on our way. We are on our way. Do I have an upside target for the indices? Asked Renzo. Yes. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yeah, there's multiple ways to become a member. All right. Under the video, you can press join. That'll direct you to it. Or you can go to just the website. Like I'll put it into the chat. I think that worked. YouTube.com/John Fibonacci/membership. So it's just like my channel, but /membership, and that'll take you right to it as well. It's real easy to do, I promise. But I actually got a lot of questions on that this week. They're like, how do I become a member? I'm like, well, I mean, I posted the fucking link. I mean, I've given you the link. What fucking more do you need? Like, help me out here. But anyways, let me give you a little bit of juice before we hop off of here. The NASDAQ actually is struggling today. So it's actually our laggard today, which is not surprising. It's not a super big deal. But if you look at our news this morning, all right, what was it, FOMC or I forgot. NFP. Yeah, and unemployment. All right. So the high of the week currently is Tuesday. So when you have that in mind, that gives a little bit of context to news. All right. So what took place? We had some highs here. Oh, those are equal too. I didn't even see that until just now. So you have equal highs here, and then you have Tuesday's high here, just above that. So what took place? It rallied above that. Okay. So anyone who was fortunate enough to trade that, okay, if they got, what's it called? If they got greedy, all right, if they didn't take partials at a new high, right? Think about it. That huge candle on the upside, okay, that means traders may have bought it before they got in, or maybe they bought it down in here, and that's fine. But where do you think the stops are going to go when the market goes up? When the market goes up, stops go up, right? Because people want to trail their stop loss. I even do that too. It's not a bad thing. It's just a bad thing when you goof up the timing. All right. Smart money knows that you're going to move your stop. Smart money knows that there are algorithms or even EAs if you use MT4 or other like platforms. EAs can move, like trailing stop losses can move the stop loss for you. So everybody already knows that stops can be moved. So when you think about it, stops go before like the low of the news and then a recent low. So we see the market dump and actually take that. So now why is this important? This is important because when this market, the NASDAQ, which has been our leader for a while, when that makes a new low here at 855, you got to realize the other indices are higher. Dow Jones, I mean, what retracement do you see on Dow Jones today? What retracement? Which one? I mean, there's only like 5 red candles here. Everything else is green. You know what I mean? This isn't a Christmas tree. I mean, this is just straight green. All right. So that is how you know that this is manipulation, right? They're running stops. And this is how you know that this is accumulation. So then if you go down into the smaller time frames, which I didn't do this today. I didn't plan on trading. I don't care. And it's a little bit easier when you have stocks going on as well. So it's like, all right, well, I didn't miss the move because my stocks are still running and the options are still running. So it's not a big deal. All right. But when you see that divergence, and they actually ran short-term stops here, rallies up and then retraces. You have a down candle here. You have an imbalance here and it takes off on a 1-minute chart. All right, so there's kind of a little bit of a market review for you. Okay, bam, right there. Order flow, bullish order flow. Greetings from Slovakia, central of Europe. Very nice, man. You know, that's one thing that I love, man. I have students all over the world. I love that. I absolutely love that. Dude, I probably have more students outside of the US than I do within the US. You know? I think that's cool. I think that's cool. All of you guys on the other side of the oceans, man. Pretty sick. Jim Cramer was on CNBC talking about bullish even. Do you think the bear is coming? No, I don't think so. I mean, Jim's not going to be wrong every single time. He's going to be right sometimes. But I don't watch him. But if you look at the Dow Jones, okay, guys, look, I don't have the best timing in the world. I've said that for a long time, you know, and it is what it is. But we've been waiting for these triple highs for a fucking minute. We've been waiting for that for a while. And so today, nice bullish up candle. I mean, I don't know if we're going to continue per se, but I'm still convinced that we're going to run for the triple highs. So, and that also confirms helps confirm JP Morgan and vice versa, or vice versa, whatever the fuck it is. Ali was thinking the same thing about the triple highs. Yeah, I agree. So let's see. So let's talk about logic for a minute. And I'm going to do a video on this, the Fibonacci logic. That's going to be one of the first videos for members as far as like redoing my old channel. That'll be probably our first lesson. No, I lied. The first lesson is probably going to be institutional candles and fractals. The second or third lesson is probably going to be the Fibonacci logic, but it's okay. If we look at this from a logical perspective, the only thing we traded into, if you followed a weekly time frame, is the imbalance from April 10th and March 20th, again on a weekly time frame. So it looks a little bit different on the daily, but that weekly, look at that. It traded into that, body's respecting it, right? And so now to me, it's like, okay, well, we had our run up, we had our break of structure, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. Imbalance completed, and then look how we're closing this week. Okay, so next week I'll probably be bullish. The next 2 or 3 weeks I'll probably be bullish. So that means I'm probably going to be looking more so for longs than shorts, because imagine this was a 1-minute chart or a 5-minute chart. So what happens when the market rebalances price and then has open liquidity? It wants to run for that liquidity, right? So on the weekly time frame, we're probably going to be bullish here within the next couple weeks. Ninjas in Ukraine. Holy shit, man. Holy shit. I'm surprised we haven't got to those highs yet today. I thought we did. Oh, no. Dow has been our laggard, man. Dow has been our laggard. It's okay. Man, look at the only thing fucking carrying the Dow is Microsoft, bro. It's leading the Dow, it's leading the NASDAQ. I mean, fuck. Microsoft is where it's at. I was talking to one of my guys earlier too. We should have trusted Microsoft. It's fucking Bill Gates, bro. We should have trusted a stock owned by Bill Gates. You know what I mean? Like, not to get down the rabbit hole and conspiracy theories and all that shit, but it makes sense, right? It makes sense, but we're not going to get too far into that. Anyway, logical perspective. Let me get back into it before we hop off of here today. So if you look at the range that we're in on a weekly time frame, okay, which means it's going to be a big range. It's going to be a larger range. What's our current high and our current low? At least looking at this chart. Obviously, if we zoomed out, it would be different. Okay, but I'm talking about the most recent high and the most recent low of where we are right now, or at least as of like this week. What is the most recent high and the most recent low? The most recent high is going to be here, 34,700. And we'll just label that weekly range high. I might have to take a break here in a minute. Well, damn, John, you're always taking breaks. Like, what the fuck? I don't know what to tell you. Okay, and that's our low. So there's your weekly range high, and there's your weekly range low. And I don't know if that's a mitigation entirely here. I mean, it's kind of forcing it to me, but I'd rather look at the imbalance here, okay? So anyway, when we divide that in half, okay? And you gotta extend the levels a little bit. Okay? When we divide that in half, your 50% is here. Okay, 33,068. Some, it might be off by a little bit, but that's okay. That is essentially your range, okay? Weekly high, weekly low, 50%. Make sense? So when you go to a daily, does this make a little bit more sense now? Does this make a little bit more logical sense on what price is doing? It traded, May 25th was our low. We traded at the lower end of the weekly imbalance, all right? And look at the bodies. Even the bodies are respecting the weekly. And I mean, there's all kinds of gaps over here, but I guess, in hindsight, I mean, I didn't really look at it this way, but there's like a daily gap right there too. So there's a daily gap that overlaps with the lower end of the weekly imbalance here. So look at what price does there. It overshoots that on the 25th. I'm not going to argue that. Yeah, it overshoots that, but it closes at, whatever price that is. It closes within that. You know what I mean? So price comes up and then trades back down into it on both of those days, yesterday and Wednesday, and then takes off today. So I'm not surprised, and yeah, I hold stocks through NFP, through FOMC, unemployment, whatever, because, I'm not focused on a single event. I'm focused on what's happening on the higher time frame. So when we talk about logic, right, the Fibonacci or the Gann logic, buying low, selling high, or whatever, we would technically take this entire range, okay, and you can highlight it if you want to, you know, have some color on your chart a little bit. If you want to spice things up, it's totally up to you. But sometimes we have fun drawing stuff. All right. Now, I taught this in my book as well. I usually don't just draw the two. A lot of the times I will draw a box around the middle to represent potential consolidation. All right. So let's fix this up a little bit. Give me a brief second here. Don't mind. Give me just a minute. All right. So it would look something like that. Okay. So weekly range high, weekly range low. So the 50% isn't really created until March 31st or when we get into it. Okay. And so we do see a little bit of consolidation here, or like around that price point, just above 33K. But my point to you, what I want to portray to you is the location, all right? The location of that. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. See, and this is why we have to edit YouTube videos so I can cut stuff like that out, so you guys don't sit here and deal with this bullshit. So that gap, okay, is below 50% here, and it overlaps with that lower end of the imbalance. All right, so it shouldn't be a surprise that this is trading higher. Okay, now what you should do, and we're gonna get more into this when we talk about, when I give you guys lessons on relative strength. The greatest way, in my opinion, all right, now this was taught by a lot of people, but I think the first person to do it for the public was Larry Williams. Okay, so this isn't my idea. I'm not claiming that I own this shit because I don't own it. All right, but there's a book by Larry Williams, The Secret to Selecting Stocks for Immediate and Substantial Gains. And short, sweet, to the point, if I were you, what I would do is I would pull up the Dow Jones. All right, not this, the actual like Dow Jones, but I'm saying the list. There's 30 stocks within a Dow Jones. I haven't updated this list in a long time, so one or a couple of them might be wrong. But if it is correct, look it up, make sure it's correct, and then go through all of the Dow Jones stocks, but overlap. Okay, like overlap the stocks with the average. So like what we can do here, let's see if I can give you a quick example. Like JP Morgan. Okay. And let's, oh, that looks terrible. That doesn't look good. So I don't think, oh, you know what? Never mind. We're good. We're good. So the way that Larry Williams would describe professional distribution or professional accumulation. Okay. So it's not Wyckoff. I don't have anything against Wyckoff. I don't teach it. So, you know, I'm not throwing any shade that way, but because I trust relative strength analysis. All right. So what Larry would tell you is to look at essentially what we're looking at and how we can compare highs and compare lows. All right. So like, for example, I always lose the arrow. There we go. You have a high here on JP Morgan and you have a higher high here. So you have like a lower high there on Dow and a higher high on JP Morgan. So when a stock is outperforming. Okay, it's trading higher as the average is lower. That's a good performing stock, but that could also be seen as distribution, right? Smart money is going to buy low and sell high, right? They're going to scale in low and they're going to scale out on the way up. Okay, they're buying on the way down and selling on the way up. They have more money than you. They have more money than me. They can handle drawdown. We can't, you know, so we try to time the market a little bit better. And you can see that even before the sell-off here, okay, what was JP Morgan doing? Well, JP Morgan was trading higher and trading higher. But then you see Dow trading lower. And then what happened? Inevitably, the Dow sold off, right? Just like the other indices. And then lo and behold, JP Morgan sold off as well. So as the average is going lower and that stock is going higher, smart money is distributing at the highs and they're probably going to reaccumulate at the lows. All right. So what I'm looking at right now, I think what gives me a little bit of confidence, or at least more confidence with JP Morgan, number one, they're like the biggest fucking bank like ever. So I'm not going to say too big to fail, but I'm going to say Wells Fargo, I believe, is number 3. JP Morgan, I think, is number 2. I think Bank of America might be second. I don't know. I haven't looked at it in a while, and I can't remember half the shit I look at anyway. But what I want to portray to you is how we've accumulated here on JP Morgan. Like, we've made a higher low here, whereas the Dow, if you line it up, I'd have to really scrunch up this chart here to make it work. But in a general sense, the Dow has been trading lower and JP Morgan has been higher. So with that rally on the Dow, we're seeing that rally on JP Morgan, and I think it's going to outperform. What's good, Vadu? So that, again, just gives me more confidence in JP Morgan. So we have it outperforming the average. We have equal highs on the upside. We saw instant reaction from the monthly and weekly time frame. It's like, dude, what more do you want? What more do you want? So now do this, but with every stock. So we're going to delete that. Okay. So now go through that, but with all of them. So take off JP Morgan, add something else like, well, Disney's dog shit. You don't want to do that. 3M's dog shit. You want to do that. Maybe something like Caterpillar, or even maybe Bank of America. They're dog shit. Nike, Goldman Sachs, stuff like that. And so when you compare either stocks to the average or even all the stocks together, especially if they're in the same sector, you can tell what's being accumulated and what's not. So that's why sometimes when you see stocks rally, some are going to rally more than others. So you might, like, let's say we long JP Morgan and we long Bank of America. Okay. They're both banking stocks. They're both in the finance sector, both in Dow, whatever. So imagine 6 months goes by. All right. And you see how JP Morgan rallied maybe 20%. And you're going, oh, that's great. But then you look at Bank of America and it's only rallied like 12%. So you're going, well, what the fuck, man? And, you know, knowing people, a lot of what's going to happen is, well, I bought Bank of America. I bought the one that didn't perform as well. And you get fucking mad, right? Like, well, damn, what happened? Bank of America is still going to go up with the other stocks, not always, but when they're correlated, they will follow suit, but they're not going to be as strong because the money's not with Bank of America, it's with JP Morgan. That would be an interesting YouTube video, which stocks to buy. Yeah, probably. I mean, I might even be able to clip this one, but I doubt it. I'd rather make an actual presentation on it. It's just a more wholesome, well-rounded education. But yeah, look at Microsoft. Okay, let's look at Dow for a minute. And let's overlap Microsoft. Okay. when well, there's definitely some mixture going on here, but that's cool. So at a particular point, Microsoft did underperform the Dow, because we did see the Dow rallying back here, and the Microsoft actually went lower. So they did underperform for a while. But then notice what happened down here. Okay, you actually see higher lows here on Microsoft, and then the sell-off on Dow, it sold off at that second leg here, and the Microsoft didn't. So you see that accumulation on Microsoft. Let me see if we can uncheck this and then compare a little bit differently. So do you see that? It's not going to be as clean all the time. They're, you know, I try to make them picture perfect, but they're not always going to be that way. I'm talking about right in here. I'm talking about right in here. We have a lower low on Dow. That's the darker line, right? Lower low on Dow. When you have a higher low on Microsoft. Now, if you were to look at Microsoft in comparison, right? Which is what we're doing. But do you see the difference now? And this is why I like TradingView, because you can warp the charts this way. Look. Dow lower, Microsoft higher. And then the Dow rallies, Microsoft rallies as well. But then look here. Look in April. What's been happening? The Dow's been trading lower the last couple weeks. The Dow has been lower the last few weeks, but Microsoft is rallying. Microsoft also is a part of the NASDAQ as well. But since it's a part of Dow Jones, and you see it outperforming the Dow down here, look at that explosiveness here. Look at that. I just taught you how to fucking trade stocks in the last 30 minutes. Simple as that. Now, obviously, there's other factors into it, but if we look at Microsoft by itself, I was trying to see what it had. I thought those might have been equal highs, but they're not. This divergence down in here, discount. Right? That was a discount price level. If you look at a monthly time frame, traded down into some old down candles, accumulated, and then, or actually, sorry, let's go to a weekly real quick. I don't remember what day it was that we just looked at. March. Okay. That March in here. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't really say it landed in anything unless I'm just missing something. But anyway, there's your accumulation. And look at the rest of it. Look at that weekly chart. Surpassed that high, didn't even retrace, just kept going into these old highs. So, look, man, you look at shit like Walmart, it rallied a little bit. McDonald's, it rallied as well. But a lot of stocks fell behind. Intel, dog shit. I think it was Bank of America, dog shit. Caterpillar, they're okay, but they're still dog shit. 3M, horrible. Horrible. Okay. So stocks that underperform the sector, probably not the best stocks to be buying. Stocks that outperform the sector do shit like this. All right. So they're not created equally. So there's going to be favor in, either a single stock or a certain sector as well. All right. So you want to learn how to buy the right stock. I just taught it to you the last 20, 30 minutes. And so you hear people all the time. I mean, I don't know if you hear this, but I hear this. It's like, oh, John, well, there's 500 stocks in the S&P, and there's X number in the NASDAQ, and there's thousands of stock to choose from. So what type of screener do I use? What type of, PE ratios and all this other bullshit? It's like, bro, the Dow Jones only has 30 stocks. You only got to go through 30 of them. And it's going to take a little bit of work, but you look at stuff like Microsoft, that overlaps with NASDAQ. So these blue chips can do really, really well. Oh, you can't make money in fucking blue chips. Well, first of all, you fucking retard, is yes, you can. And secondly, even if you don't like blue chips have options. Some of the options today on JP Morgan are up like 100, 200%. Like, the fuck are you talking about? Okay. And here are those higher lows on JP Morgan versus the Dow, right? We were just looking at this. The Dow lower here. JP Morgan's like, fuck that. I got to accumulate and run for new highs. Or at least recent. I don't know about all-time highs, but there's definitely some old gaps that haven't been traded to up in the 160s. So, I mean, I don't know. But go look at some options chains today. Let me see if we can pull that up real quick. JP Morgan. Chase and Company. All right. Oh, strong buy. Well, yeah, but we've been on that for a minute. So not the weekly, but I'd say like that monthly one, because that is a few weeks out. So today is the 2nd, right? June 2nd. So 7/21 would be July 21st. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's about 7 weeks out. So, I mean, that's enough time to like not be right on the day, but still give it some time to run. All right. And what do we say? 145, right? We've been talking about 145. So that's a 69% today. So, it's not bad. It's not bad. Now, if you played like an earlier one, maybe you thought the timing would be better. Maybe you're like, oh no, it'll get there within, a shorter amount of time. All right. That same 145 is up 133% today. That means whatever you had in it yesterday doubled and then some today. So, you can't make money with fucking blue chips. There it is. And that's just today. That's just today. You know what I mean? And there's the chart. That's what it looks like. That's just one move here. That one little small move here, 133%. Okay? So now again, it's going to vary on strike price and the contract. So there's a plethora of different things to look at. I just gave you kind of two brief examples. Okay? So there it is. JP Morgan outperforming the Dow. You see it trading higher, so I'm confident we'll be able to get to 145 still. And we talked about how the NASDAQ traded below this morning's low, whereas the other indices did not. So NASDAQ was running stops. Other indices were being accumulated. We saw the market fly the rest of today, and it's still flying. So it's awesome, and today's a good day. And I guess the last thing will be gold and silver. They're both trading. Actually, you know what? I think I want to check New Zealand real quick as well. All right. Gold taking Thursday's low as well as Tuesday's low. And I wasn't bullish or bearish on the metals for today. I did not even think about it. And silver is trading lower, but it's not even close to the other lows. And we talked about earlier this week how silver was being accumulated. It was stronger than gold. So if you were looking for shorts today, it probably should have been on gold versus silver. I just want to look I want to see New Zealand traded lower or not. It didn't. I was just scrolling through shit today and I was looking at this low and it hasn't got there. It's been reluctant to do that. But that's okay. I mean, I'm not in a trade. I was just looking to see. I was just checking things. And maybe we get it, maybe we don't. I don't know. But anyway, I feel like that's going to wrap it up for today. We went through different things. Aussie barely trading lower. Huge divergence over there. But yeah, we went through a bunch of different things today. We talked about relative strength. We talked a little bit about order flow, manipulation, stuff like that. Gave you guys some announcements. We got some videos coming out pretty soon. So, you know, I'm excited, man, because you guys are going to learn a lot this year. You're going to learn a lot of things this year. So I'll pull it up one more time in case you want to take a screenshot or if you just want to catch up on it. The Successful Traders trio, excuse me, that video is out. The adversity discussion comes out tomorrow. Problems within the MLM industry and how to fix them comes out on the 5th, and then setting goals comes out on the 7th. Those all 4 of these are free. Okay, these are not member only videos. So, you know, at least I don't think so. I think these are all public videos. All right, so be ready for those. And that's all I got for you guys. Very valuable lesson. Lots of gems. Have a good weekend. Yep. Have a good weekend. Stay blessed. And don't be a goober. I'm going to go over. I think we might play soccer, but we are definitely going to have barbecue. Friday, turn your brain off day, cheat day, whatever have you. So y'all be good, man. I will see y'all on Monday.